Good evening, everybody. We've got the Michael Price family, UCLA women's head basketball coach Corey Close, joined by senior Lauren Betts and graduate student Charlize Ledger-Walker. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach, do 10 minutes of questions for student athletes, and then wrap up with questions for Coach at the end. Corey.
First of all, just credit to the Nebraska team. They really had our attention. They're one of the most efficient offensive teams in the country. It really spreads us out, forces us out of our comfort zone, and just want to give them a shout out for how much respect we have for how they play, and that we knew this was going to be a tough challenge coming in here. Also, you just love it when you show up to places with such a great fan base that are behind their team and supporting women's basketball. So just really want to give credit for that. We have a really high standard in our program, so there's obviously things that we still want to grow and get better at. But what I loved is coming into a hostile environment and having our players do it with their defense, their rebounding, and hustle plays. And I think we can get a lot better on the offensive end, but when you have that as your anchor, it allows you to have a higher margin for error. Especially want to shout out Lauren and Charlize and Kiki. I thought their ability to switch on smaller people, to switch on bigger people in our guards case, I thought they were our anchors in how they rebounded, how they shared the basketball, blocks, steals. So when you're led by three of your seniors in those categories, I have a lot to be thankful for.
Questions for our student athletes.
Hey, Lauren. Nebraska had some success on you guys last year in the Big Ten tournament, but tonight they didn't have much success at all. What did you guys do differently? Did you plan it different, or did you just play better?
I don't know. I think today defensively we just came out different. I think that's something that we worked on all week, and we had a whole week to prepare for this. So I think the guys did a really good job of just pushing us every single day in practice. It was, tough for me to consistently get out on the shooters, but I think that's something that I was really intentional about today, and I think it showed. But I'm just really proud of how everyone came out defensively. I thought we did a really good job. We talked about it in the locker room. I thought our rotations off ball were really, really good, and that's something that we really try to focus on a lot as well. So I think it was just defensively we really locked in. So.
Hey Lauren, after the game, a fan gave a painting to you and your sister. Can you talk about what it means to get that type of support on the road from fans?
Yeah, it's really special. Obviously I'm coming to Nebraska not really expecting many, fans for our school, but it's just really special that, she did that, and just really, really thankful, and it's just really beautiful to see, all the little girls that come to our game and just, love our team and love the girls that we have. But I think it speaks to how special this group of girls is. We have a really amazing group of athletes on this team, and we really do love all of our fans, so it's just really, really sweet.
So I'm just looking over the stats and trying to figure out where to start, right? Just for either of you, just what was Nebraska showing you that you were able to exploit today to have 6 players in double figures and everybody kind of eating on the glass?
I think going into the game, one of our biggest emphases on offense was to really expose our interior dominance, obviously. But, we're a type of team that once we can get certain aspects of our offense going, it creates so much more looks for us in different areas. And so when you look at, having 6 people in double figures, that's because, we go to Lauren inside or all of our bigs inside, and they draw so much attention that now you have kind of the pick of the lottery and who you want to get the ball to. And that was something that we were really trying to focus on early, was making sure that we were looking at those post touches and then creating out of that.
You speak of the dominance in the post. Obviously, you figured it out towards the end of the game, but you started the game 0 for 3. What was Nebraska throwing at you that kind of made it a little bit more difficult?
I know, I was just missing shots. Lots of respect to the Nebraska posts. I think, something that I really try to focus on is just being more aggressive, and I thought the first half I could have been a lot more aggressive and getting deeper seals, so credit to them. They did a good job of kind of making it tough for me in the beginning by shoving me out, but I don't know. I think the second half I just came out a little bit differently and just kind of refused to get pushed out the paint, so just I think made my finishes a lot easier.
For either of the players, you guys talked about your week to prepare. The scout was pretty good. What was in the scout that you saw that made you guys so successful in preparation?
I think, reflecting on this whole week of practice, knowing how great they are, like Coach Corey was saying, they're so efficient. They know where they want to get their shots from. They know who they want to get their shots from. I think it's more coming out with the mindset that we want to be dictating on defense, especially, and be the aggressors and make sure that we're not being kind of reactive to whatever they're throwing at us. And I think especially, there's such a high volume three-point shooting team. Most of their players have such high three-point percentages, and so just understanding that when we are trying to guard by ourselves one-on-one and we're running people off the line, we have those rotations. We worked so much on that in practice. We have such great interior defense that we know we have backup behind us if we're trying to run people off the line. So I think coming into the game, it was really just being able to trust each other more collectively, because we know how talented we can be, but it's, again, trying to put those individual pieces on the defensive end together. And when we play great defense, it translates into offense all the time, and we can get out and run. We can play in transition. We don't have to slow the ball up and run sets, but I think that was kind of the mindset that we all had going into the game.
Anything else for our student athletes? Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Any questions for me? Okay.
What's Lauren's progression been as a defensive player in the 3 years she's been with you?
Well, I mean, she was National Defensive Player of the Year last year, so it's not like she's just coming on the scene. But, I think she's always been a unicorn in how she's been able to move laterally at her size. But last year, she didn't really have the confidence that she could get out on shooters and switch out on guards and keep them in front. And I just kept telling her this year, like, we can help you if by chance you get beat, but you never do get beat. But nobody can help you if you don't get out and extend yourself and take away threes. And I just think she's really like, wow, I can really do this. I think she would give a lot of credit to our strength coach, Coach Ash. I think he has really done a phenomenal job of breathing life into who she already is and helping her grow in her athleticism, her strength. But I think it's much more of a mental thing than it is a physical thing, that she really believes she can do it now. And, I think she was a great talent when we got her. I also give our assistant coaches an incredible amount of credit for how they've continued to build her versatility. I mean, just the way she picked and popped, hit the jumper on an inside out. You don't expect the inside out to be to your 6'8" center. But she knocked that jumper down. I think she's really being confident with that. But I think, when you put in the work and you prepare with intentionality, you grow in your confidence as well. And that's what you're seeing in Lauren.
When did you see that switch flip for her, for that specifically?
Well, I think she's really been phenomenal most of this year. But you guys were asking what the difference is, what we see in the scout. Last year when we had a small player out there, they probably picked on that mismatch when we switched better than any team we had played. But this year we didn't have that mismatch. I mean, we're 6 feet or up across the board, and so when we're switching and they're rolling, there's really not an advantage gained. And so, but I think Lauren's ability to do that has just been, I think she's actually been great for a while. I think, Kiki's progression, adding Charlize and her defensive prowess, Angela Dugalit, she didn't have as good a night tonight, but I think her defensive dominance over time has just allowed Lauren to progress even more.
Coach, what's next for you guys? You go to Minnesota on Wednesday, quick turnaround. What's the next couple days look like?
Well, we've pretty much, it's so interesting. In the Big Ten, I've learned that they always take these 2-day preps in between. Coming from the Pac-12, where you only had 1 day in between these, we're used to 1-day preps. So we're like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So tomorrow we will rest and recover with our higher minute getters, and then we will take some of our other ones and have excuse me, we will get some work in with them, but we will take tomorrow as a recovery day, and then we'll be ready to prep once we get to Minnesota on Tuesday is when we'll practice there, preparing for the Wednesday game. We're excited to bring Gianna Niepkens home. The word on the street is we got several bus loads of people coming down from Duluth to be that. And so when you get a chance to have a kid have that experience, I'm excited. But you know I say this all the time, but it's true. I mean, I guess the proof is in the pudding with 9 ranked teams in the Big Ten. I mean, Minnesota beating USC today. It's going to be a hostile environment. And one of the things that we learned last year, being number 1 for 14 straight weeks, is that you're going to draw everybody's best. And you have to have a level of discipline and maturity in how you prepare, knowing that, especially going into hostile environments. So we'll be ready for the challenge, but it's going to be really important. We came off from 4 prep days, and now we're going to have 1 prep day. And so it's going to be important that we do our work mentally so that we're ready to compete physically on Wednesday.
You think you have a better team this year than you did last year?
Yes.
Why?
I think we have a more complete puzzle. It's not like we have necessarily more individual talent pieces. We were very talented last year as well. But I think our puzzle pieces fit a little bit more cohesively this year. When you have a player like Lauren, space is important, so that if you're going to have 2 and 3 people sent to her, that you're able to play out of that better. We don't pressure and press as much as we did last year, but I think we're able to do different things in our defense because of our length. And so I just think we have a very synergistic group, and the pieces that we added. So for instance, Charlize adding to our team this year, has really helped Kiki, I think, take advantage of how she gets downhill so much that she doesn't always have to be the ball dominant guard. She can get off the ball some too, and I think they've made each other better. I think adding Gianna Niepkens has just created different spacing and how different rotations of how defenses are going to play Lauren Betts. And so I think the improvement of Angela Dugalich has been tremendous. And then as we bring Sienna along, I think that will be huge for us as well. So I just think we're a pretty complete team on the offensive end. I don't think we're there yet. We are the number 1 efficient offensive team in the country right now, but we're number 5 on defense, and so still have room to grow. And as I remind them every week, the number 1, the national champion the last 5 out of 6 years was the number 1 defensive team in the country. So that's going to be really where we need to continue to grow if we want to hit our ceiling.
Speaking of defense, Britt Prince went 3 of 11 today. Just what were you guys doing, her specifically, that allowed her to have a night not typical?
Well, I think, we really were able to make all of her catches a little bit. I thought her spacing and her scoring catches were just a little bit out of character for her in terms of, we tried to top block her, so she had to face cut pin down screens. We really switched up and overplayed her right hand. I thought Tasha Brown and Alex Zackham did a phenomenal job on the scout, and they're a very difficult team to scout because they've got so many sets and so many ways they spread you out. But we spent a lot of time focused on Britt in the fact of when she gives it up, how she's going to try to get it back, and what she's going to try to create those ball screens or ISOs late in shot clocks. And I just think we made all of those really tough. She only had 6 points, but 4 of those 6 were really early in the 4th quarter. So we made it really hard for her for a long time. And I thought Kiki Rice did a great job, but even our switches on her were pretty good tonight.
Megan Grant has been such a joy. You've heard you talk about her.
Yeah.
How does her schedule change now that softball season?
We got to share her a little more now. That's why she's not here. It was fun today. We always have a goods video from the previous game, and without even telling any of us, she recorded this message to the team today. So at the end of the goods video from the last game this morning, it was a message from her just wishing the team luck and that she was here in spirit. And she always gets really fired up with me right before she runs out, and so we sort of had a moment. And I was in the locker room. I have a ritual that I do just in terms of my own space, and have some times just praying, and I text her and just said, hey, I'm praying for you and missing you right now. And she's like, I'm tuned in, I'm watching. And, you know, she's just a great kid. And, you know, but we sat down with Kelly, who we have tons of respect for the softball staff. And she's only going to be with us now through the Big Ten play, regular season play, at home games when it doesn't conflict with softball. She's pretty much all of softballs until we get to postseason, and then we're going to sort of reevaluate at that point. But she's been a great addition to our team, and even though she's not here in the day-to-day right now, she's with us in spirit, and she's definitely a part of everything we're doing. Anybody else? Hey, just thank you guys for being here. I have tons of respect for the fan base here. I actually had breakfast with Matt Ruda this morning. He's a friend of mine, and just I was talking about just how much respect I have for all the sports and how they're covered here, how the fans come out, and those things don't happen without you guys. So thank you guys for what you're doing. It makes a difference.
What kind of trouble does their defense, and specifically number 51, Lauren Betts, pose to you guys during that game?
I mean, they switch 1 through 5 on certain possessions, and there's not another player in our league that's the size of Lauren Betts, and just we don't usually see something like that, like guards, and then it's also really hard, I guess, for us bigs then to post when, you know, she takes up so much vision, but just something we haven't seen before, and we probably could have done a better job of that tonight, of taking advantage of that.
Were they different than they were when you played in the Big Ten tournament? Because you had some success. Were they different?
Yeah, I mean, they've got a different roster, so each year, obviously, each game is going to be different to the last. They're a little probably bigger this year than they were last year, and a little bit more aggressive defensively probably than they were last year, but yeah, just a little different.
Yeah, I think the size of their guards too. I mean, obviously last year we played Kiki and Gabriella Hawkes, but I think Charlie Sledger-Walker and Gianna Neepkins bring a sense of calmness for them, and then just their size and speed, I think, is also what hurts the guards on that perimeter.
For somebody like Lauren Betts, you know, she's 6'7". I don't know if you guys have a scout player 6'7". So how do you just like deal with that in practice and try to replicate what she can bring to the game?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to replicate that. You know, we've got some scout guys that are pretty big, but Lauren's obviously really skilled and very physical. So I think it's just coming in with the mentality that you got to get her on the first one, and you know, if she does miss, you got to get the rebound. And I think we kind of came short on that sometimes, but I think it's just coming into the game knowing that it's going to be tough and it's going to be physical, and just being ready to battle.
What did Coach Williams say in the locker room after the game?
I think that there's a lot we can learn from this. There's a lot we can grow from, and the Big Ten doesn't get any easier. No one's going to feel sorry for you. So it's just learning from our mistakes and seeing what we did well, and capitalizing on those things, and going on the road and trying to get 2 more conference wins here soon.
Obviously, Lauren's a big part of keeping the ball out of the paint, but you went through a stretch in the third quarter. It was really tough for you guys to get anything going offensively. What was UCLA throwing at you that kind of made it so difficult to even get the ball down into the paint?
Yeah, I mean, like Peach said, like when they switch 1 through 5, sometimes it's a little bit hard to see, but I think just their length and our gaps and stuff, when we would try and drive their gaps, their length is causing problems, and then they kind of get tips on the balls, and anytime that we just try and kind of look to go inside out with our threes or anything like that, their size took that away from us. But I also think when we did get paint touches, I think it was really successful for us, and so I think just in the future, knowing we might potentially see them again, and we're hoping to see them again, and so just finding ways to capitalize on those and give ourselves more opportunities for that.
Anything else for the Huskers? Okay, Coach Williams.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Obviously, we're disappointed. We want to win when we play at home every single time, and we knew that it was going to take a special effort on the boards in order to beat a team like UCLA here. And we got out-rebounded by 15. I thought that was a really big factor in today's game.
Your defensive energy, though, in the first, part of the first quarter, I guess the first 5 minutes was pretty high, and turned them over 4 times in 5 minutes. What changed, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that we were pretty glued into our game plan, and then I think a couple things happened sometimes, like offensively, where we were not getting the shots that we wanted, or we might have some turnovers, and then all of a sudden that leads to a few run-out layups, and it just kind of is a little bit deflating. But, when you look at the box score and it's like, okay, it's just, they outscore you by 6 in this quarter and 2 in this quarter, and, it just kind of feels like it's a slow bleed in a game like this, and it just, it wasn't necessarily like, one huge run that I can put my finger on, but more just, kind of a couple reactions after negative plays on offense that led to transition runouts or offensive rebound, kick out, dagger 3 plays that, and obviously they have, they're led by 6 very experienced seniors that, are projected to be potentially 5 first-round draft picks. And it's an incredibly talented roster that they're going to make you pay when you have 17 turnovers.
Where does Lauren Betts rank among the players, the best defensive players that you've ever coached against?
Yeah, I mean, I think she really affects the game in a lot of different ways. And just, defensively, she blocks shots, but she also just alters things and just creates situations. Obviously, she had 5 steals and 4 blocks, and but I think the things that she alters or kind of just deters people from really wanting to kind of come in the paint, I think that is evident. But I think the way that you have to game plan for her on the offensive side of the ball and really throw some double teams. You can't just play her one-on-one, and then they surround her with some really good shooters. And she's an underrated passer, I feel like, and particularly out of double teams. And so just a really good all-around player.
UCLA's coach was in here. She said a big part of their scout was dealing with Britt. Britt had, on the game, she had 6 points. She averaged 19, so they did a good job. Not looking at this game, but what do you think Britt can learn from this to take her to her next game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a credit to Britt because she was really, really good against them in the conference tournament at the end of last season. And so, it's not a surprise that they were keying on her so much. And I think, I just feel like, Britt is such a competitor that there's just zero doubt in my mind that she'll be hungry. She'll be chomping at the bit to get in with our coaching staff to break down some film, to figure out, how can I continue to stay aggressive-minded offensively? Where can I get some opportunities to score for myself, but also just make better reads off ball screens, etc.
They're pretty handsy and physical on the defensive end. How do you think you guys reacted to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there were some times where we handled it well and other times where we did not. I mean, there were a couple times where, we're trying to come off dribble handoffs and we got rode off or, we traveled. We just had some uncharacteristic turnovers that I think probably are a credit to their physicality and the way that they like to get kind of handsy.
This game, both rosters have dual sport athletes, one being your daughter. So and UCLA, Megan Grant isn't traveling anymore because of softball. So does your daughter's schedule change at all going forward into softball season?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, we've decided at this point that she'll just remain with basketball right now until our season kind of concludes, and then we'll return to softball at that time. And just trying to keep her healthy after a couple of injuries. We are not going to have her be doing both sports at the same exact time. So something we'll just wait till our season is concluded, and then she'll be eager to join back up with Husker softball.
Anything else for Coach Williams?
Thank you.
Thanks.